All right, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, and they're out of both Chico, California, and Mills River, North Carolina, and this is their PILS. So this is a Pilsner that comes in at 4.7% alcohol by volume, 25 IBUs at the time of review. And this can is just under 6 weeks old. So this is the newest year-round offering from Sierra Nevada, which makes perfect sense because as far as I know, they do not have a lager in their year-round lineup. They got Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, absolute classic, Torpedo, another classic. They have their Little Thing series and probably a couple others. But as far as I know, they don't have a lager. So they introduced this one. It's a year-round beer. And they say it's kind of like a hybrid of like a European Pils and like an American Pils, or like American take on a European Pils. So, it's not going to be like your typical like Czech Pilsner or German Pils, but it'll have some properties of that. They say on the back here, I've enjoyed beers all over the world, but there's something special about a proper Pilsner at a European pub. Crisp, refreshing, and served in a smaller glass to keep it at the ideal temperature and flavor. It's how Pils is meant to be enjoyed. Brian Grossman, chief brewer. And so we'll talk about these little cans and also the value at the end, but I want to give a quick shout out to a very good friend of mine, fellow beer tuber Joe over at Giles Arcade. He's the only other guy that I watched a review of this one on, and he actually thought it was pretty good, but his one issue was with the packaging and then the value to it. So we'll talk about it at the end. But anyway, let's crack it open. I got my sip of sunshine glass here because I wanted something that will fit the 8.4 fluid ounce a can, which is interesting that they went for a year-round beer in a very small vessel like this. Usually something like this small would be reserved here in the U.S. for like a big high ABV, high octane beer. So let's give it a pour here. Should have used a smaller glass. It is what it is, though. Whatever. I wanted to use something that's kind of similar to a Pilsner glass, but not straight. I should probably get a Pilsner glass at some point, like a proper Pilsner glass. I'll look into one and grab it. But anyway, what do we got here? Well, we got a beer that definitely looks and plays the role of a beer. Yeah, it has a beautiful clarity to it, a little bit of Dirty Glass Mafia, but it has a beautiful clarity to it, has that very light, golden yellow color. You can see my face through it, had about a finger of a bright white, very like frothy looking head, good carbonation. Yeah, it plays the role. If you're looking at this beer, outside of the fact that it's only 8.4 fluid ounces in there, you can't really get upset about how that beer looks as far as a Pilsner goes. Let's get a nose. Yeah. Has that nice grainy, crackery kind of malt character. They did say they use Saphir and Crystal Lupulin hops. I do get a little bit of like a citrus in this, like a lemon peel, maybe even like an orange peel. Some of that orchard fruit, pear, maybe a touch of apple. It's a nice floral like grassiness as well. A little bit of a spiciness. It smells really nice. Touch of that sulfuric kind of lager funk. Yeah, it just smells like a nice Pilsner. Honestly, it kind of smells, to me, more like a slight German Pils, but with like a little bit more of like a hop flair to it. Yeah, it smells pretty good. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. It's a nice beer. Very nice. The one thing I'll say off the rip is that it's not like blowing me away from a flavor standpoint, but this is supposed to be their year-round lager that's crushable, easy to drink. And after a couple sips, all day, every day. It's nice. The body on this one for 4.7%. Higher side of light, approaching low medium. So not watery, but thin like you expect for a sub 5% beer. The mouthfeel, very crisp. This is moderately to touch over moderately carbonated. Very clean beer as well. Super refreshing. Body, mouthfeel are nice. The taste. I think the nose was a little bit more, dare I say, bombastic. The taste is, it has a nice crackery, slightly bready malt character front to back. It's a little bit sweeter from that aspect. And then there's layers over top of it of, again, to me, like a citrus peel, slight citrus, like a citrus fruit character without being super juicy. So it's like an orange peel, a tangerine peel, a lemon peel with a little bit of the flavor that provides, but not sweet. Midway through the palate, that orchard fruit, I'm getting more like a white pear. And then on the finish, it's floral, it's grassy with a little bit of spiciness from the hops. It finishes pretty dry. I'd say firmly to almost bone dry. Mild to moderate bitterness. Nice beer. No question about it. This is a nice beer. Is it my favorite Sierra Nevada of all time? It is not. Would I happily drink this? Yes. Would I buy this again? Depends. We'll talk about the value and price point or value and availability very shortly. But this isn't doing, here's the thing. This is a well-crafted, enjoyable Pilsner. No question about it. But it's not doing anything different that I can get from a lot of local breweries here in the Western New York area. So if it comes down to would I buy this over some of those local breweries, probably not based on what I'm going to mention with the value of this one. However, if I'm out and about and I wanted a lager and I saw this, all day, every day. So one more sip and we'll lock in a rating. Yeah, it's good. It's good, but not great. How about that? I'm going to give Sierra Nevada their PILS. We'll go low 4 out of 5. We'll go 3.95 out of 5. Definitely good. Definitely enjoyable. No questions about it. However, what we're going to talk about momentarily, skews it a little bit. It's not like a bad value or anything, but just what Sierra Nevada is known for, it's a little bit more expensive than I'd like. All right, so as I said, Joe talked about on his review about the value and whatnot, and just them putting in the small cans. Obviously, Brian Grossman said on the back here why they put in the small cans reminds them of like the European Pils you get over there, smaller, and then obviously they'd be drinking off a smaller glass. It all makes sense. However, I don't really want beers like this in an 8.4 fluid ounce can. It should be at the very least in a 12 fluid ounce can, if not, pint cans, 16 fluid ounces. Or I think Joe mentioned the big stovepipe cans. Yeah, put this in a 19.2 fluid ounce stovepipe can, buy a couple of them, feel good. So I don't like that from a packaging. This looks beautiful in the can. I love the smaller can. I like the visuals and everything. It's just, I'm not a huge fan of this beer as far as the size of the can, we'll say. And then here in the Buffalo, New York area, this was $11.49 for an 8-pack. 8 times 8.4 is, somewhere in that, it's probably, what is that, 66 ounces? Or sorry, 68 ounces. So you're looking at, less than a 12-pack of, or less than a 6-pack of 12 fluid ounce cans, and just more than a 4-pack of 16 fluid ounce cans. And for $11.49, that is not great value from Sierra Nevada. Like most of their beers, like when Celebration Ale is released every year, for example, that shows up in 6-packs, and that's like $12 for a 6-pack. And what is that beer? That's 2.5% bigger than this. Like the value's not there from Sierra Nevada. For other breweries, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blink twice at $11.49 for say almost a 6-pack of a beer, but it's Sierra Nevada. I expect this to be like $10. Maybe 11 at the most, but over 11. I think Joe said he paid 12, and then he put it in these little cans, and I just don't get it. But I'm just one dude, so that's just my opinion. It's a really good beer. The beer in the vessel is what matters to me, but if we're talking about value, I don't think this is one of the better values from Sierra Nevada. And then on top of that, the availability at Sierra Nevada, this should be rolling out pretty much everywhere. If you don't see it now, you probably should see it at some point because it is a year-round offering. Try it out for yourself. See what you think about it. Maybe a lot of people will enjoy these smaller cans because maybe you can drink like 4 of them if you want. 2 of them instead of drinking 1. Whatever the case may be, you can figure out a way to enjoy it. For me, I want this in their typical 12 fluid ounce cans or 12 fluid ounce bottles. That's what I'd like to see it. Or, buy a couple of stovepipe. Maybe they'll get it to stovepipes, maybe they're not, but they talk about in a smaller vessel, drinking out of a smaller glass. I can't see them putting it in a huge can. So again, that's just one dude's opinion, but the beer is pretty damn good, and I'm glad that they have a year-round lager at this point. So if you agree with me, disagree with me, post in the comment section. 4.7%, you really can't tell. Good balance. Yeah, nice beer. 3.95 out of 5. So again, if you've had it before, comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Appreciate everybody stopping by. For another beer review here on the Beer Patrol, the other thing I'll mention is no real lager funk in the taste. No, not at all. And now I just took that sip. It has this nice lemony, kind of bright, bready malt character on the finish, which is a rarity for me, but I'm getting it now, and it's nice. So anyway, to the next one. Cheers.